Hey guys, Mike here. So definitely an interesting day in the market for sure. I actually had some of you guys I saw in the comments are reaching out to me saying, why is the market down? And the market wasn't down, like the indexes were green. But I think I know why you thought that, and so I'll go over that and stuff. And a few things in the beginning you definitely need to be aware of for sure. And we're definitely going to talk in depth about Tesla, and if I get a lot of questions about this stock, and I think you really need to grasp the understanding of Tesla stock, okay, and what really controls it, okay, and why. That's very important. I do want to say, obviously thanks for everybody who's been watching the videos lately and stuff, and I want to give a special shout out to people from Kentucky. I do not condone, obviously I don't want to see any senior citizen being treated like this because I have a soft spot for senior citizens, but he, asked for it by being in the position he's in. So this is Mitch McConnell, one of our members shared this with us, I guess yesterday maybe, trying to give a speech, and I guess maybe people feel like I do. And so obviously, almost hard to watch, to be honest with you. I mean, to watch a man his age get up there and they're screaming retire, which he needs to. He literally has 4 more years left on his term. But then again, I mean, they re-elected him 2 years ago. So, we'll see. There's no way that man's stepping down unless he's forced to. So that ain't going to happen, just FYI. Now, another thing is, I get this question a lot. Are we, so by the way, that's one of like the 5 I mentioned yesterday in the video who we need to get. So hopefully others start to give speeches. I have a list of like 25 of them, by the way, that definitely need to go. You get them out, you get a lot of power. You get a huge power vacuum that'll happen, and hopefully good people feel it. Can't guarantee that up there in Washington, but it's a start. Okay, you got to start somewhere. Now, the other question I get a lot is, because seeing some news coming out of Germany today, which I'm going to show you, is this, it's like, how in the world on a global scale, when you got this many central banks tightening, trying to drain liquidity, trying to fight inflation, China's economy, is slow, and it's definitely wasn't what it was, probably never going to be what it was, all this other stuff. How in the world can you be bullish or bearish or whatever it is you are, especially bullish or whatever. But it's one of those things where I understand liquidity drives markets, and we've talked about that. I understand on a global liquidity scale, I sat on a call for an hour listening to global liquidity issues, things like that, and how global liquidity actually is decreasing. Whether that's going to continue, we're going to see. But is this those conditions that are ripe for some kind of credit crisis? I mean, whether you want to call it a black swan event, whatever. Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is when you're ripe for it, right? I'm talking on a global scale, right? It could happen in the United States, but it could also happen in some major other country, right? And so, because remember, there is so much stuff we don't know that we can't see. They won't make us privy to. They don't want us to know. There is so much, they call off the books and losses out there. It's a mess, right? And so, can something happen? Absolutely, right? And so, I don't think it's a coincidence. We started going, through this slight sell-off here as soon as, the Bank of Japan started kind of wavering a little bit on what they do. And they didn't come out and raise the rates. They're like, So people are kind of weary and go, oh, well, that's not good, right? And they could absolutely shake up on a global scale what's going on with liquidity and things like that, and affect all the markets, just Japan themselves. So just keep that in mind, and then everything that China's doing and stuff. So yeah, I mean, we're at high risk, but here's the way I look at it. And if you understand how I go from this, it's like I could walk out to my car and drive to Walmart and get in a car accident. It could happen, okay? Now, if it started storming, would that increase or decrease the odds of me getting in that accident? In my opinion, it would increase the odds, right? Right now, in Florida, you can see it's not storming, so I feel pretty good about that. So that's the same way with the market, right? I mean, we got a lot of, this ain't 2010 to 2020 type scenario where rates are zero and all the Fed's buying like crazy and all that stuff, right? It's a total opposite. So yes, the odds are much higher of some kind of credit crisis happening. That is just the way it is. But I can't sit here and predict those things. And so I pick and choose, and I play the market that's in front of me, right? Because, sure, when I go out to my car, I live I invest and then trade the same way I live. I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to sit there and walk out of my car scared and go, oh, hope I make it to Walmart, And don't get me wrong, like, my uncle at 19 many years ago was going to class. It was not raining or anything. He'd done it many times, nothing had happened, right? All of a sudden, some guys in a high-speed chase running from the cops, T-bones him, paralyzes him for life, right? My dad gets in a car, it's snowing in Georgia, drive themselves into head onto a tree and dies. I mean, can it happen? Heck yeah, it can happen. But I'm not, and for a point, actually for a portion of my life, I was very cautious, then I decided life's just too long, and not too short. I'm just going to do my thing and enjoy life, right? And it's the same way when I'm looking at charts, stocks, or anything else. I'm not buying stuff way up here that's way overstretched. That's just not how I work. So I'll try to decrease, the risk as much as I can, but I can't sit here and go, I can't do anything because there might be a black swan event. There might be a credit crisis. I mean, it just doesn't work that way for me. You can do that. It doesn't bother me at all. But I'm just telling you that's my thinking. So if I come on here, I see people say, "Man, he's too bullish." Like, I never said I was bullish or bearish, but you can be many different things at the same time. You can be short-term bearish, long-term bullish, or the opposite at any different time, right? So again, that's just want to put that out there. So anyway, that leads me into what's going on in Germany today. The German long-dated bonds led a global sell-off on Monday. And the reason why, because they're doubting, the strength in the global economy right now. And that's why you see stuff like that happening. On the other hand, though, you got oil, or it's been going up. Are we about to hit a double top, right? Is it going to reject right there at that level and start selling back off? Or are we going to keep going higher? And then, of course, how is the market going to react? If it sells off, is it going to say, oh, it's selling off because we believe the market's going to be weaker, or, oh, it's selling off, so that's great for stocks, let's keep moving the market up, right? And so we got to look out for this stuff. So make sure you mark that on your charts and stuff. Another thing, why is Warren Buffett dancing in the streets today, right? Because he just became even wealthier, like he needed it. Why? Because Berkshire Hathaway reported earnings, and they set an all-time new high. So, and this is not a cheap stock. And so, that's another thing that's happening today in the face of everything that's going on in the world, right? And guys, before we continue, if you're getting anything out of this, please hit that thumbs up down there. I really appreciate it. And if you like the material here and the videos, think about subscribing. And so that leads me into why some of you guys felt like, man, the market must be down today. And the reason why, it's just because all the high beta stuff was down. All the Cathie Wood type stocks and stuff, as I like to call them, were down. Pretty much all of these are red at one point in time today. I filmed this, this is between 2 and 3 and stuff. So some of these made a recovery during the lunch break and everything. But, this is why Chinese stocks were down. All the stuff was down. And then, of course, what was up was the big boys, right? That's what was pulling the market up. You had financials up. You had travel stocks up. You see these right here just getting obliterated. And so, just keep that in mind. Semiconductors were okay for the day. They started off hot, kind of sold off. And so, but you see your mega caps, right? Besides Tesla there, even though it made a great comeback, they were pulling up the market like crazy. And you can see right here, here is the indexes. They were green all day except for IWM again. And then you have the Dow down there. It was over 1% like all day long. And you remember we talked about keeping track of this. This is these eco-weighted ETF. And you can see over the last 30 days, the eco-weighted SPY ETF is actually outdoing SPY over the last 30 days and even over the last 5 days. When you look at this, which means more stocks continue to broaden out, okay, which is one reason seeing the Dow perform so well lately and stuff like that. It's not just all about tech. And then when you go into QQQ, it's the same thing. The equal-weighted ETF for the QQQ has been outperforming it. And today it was just like dead even with it. So, which is actually, if you're a bull in this market, that's a good thing. That's what you want to see because it's harder to bring down a market when you got more stocks participating and everything. Just keep that in mind. Now, that leads me into a couple stocks. One is Apple. Obviously, we ain't seen this in Apple in a while. 10% drop so far. I said I'd be stunned if they didn't buy it up. Today, dip buyers did come in, which you can see right above that gap right there. I thought they'd actually let the gap fill and bounce perfectly, but they started buying in earlier than that. And so, again, I was going to be shocked when this went down double digits if the market continues to let it go down. It could still go down, but they came in pretty strong right here, and I'll show you why in just a minute on this one. Now, Tesla was another one, right? It goes down almost 4 to 5% in the morning. One reason they try to say is because their CFO unexpectedly left and everything. Maybe so, maybe he's an important guy, but you can get other CFOs to come in, but anything's an excuse to sell anything off, right? So they sell it off big time, and you can see the big drop in the morning time. But all of a sudden, 11:30 hits, and it's like, oh wow, look at this right here. As usual, you usually get dip buyers in Tesla, but I said I hadn't really seen like crazy amounts of like calls flying in for Tesla and stuff. But usually you'll get your dip buyers like in here. It always happens. But today was a little more unusual in the fact when you start seeing those call sweeps come in, which I keep telling you, watch out for the call sweeps, right? And so these call sweeps came in at 11:15 right here, and it was like millions worth of them come flying in, 8-11. So it's the weeklies, 247.50 calls You see right there, just the ones I got access to is over 3 million right off the bat. They're paying 625, so they didn't make that much a day. We'll see if Tesla keeps going the rest of the day. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But you can see for the day, the premium, who was the top two? Tesla and Apple with the most bullish calls, right, going in. And when this happens, it's literally like a dog whistle for the global market to come piling into these stocks. I mean, millions and millions. Like, if you needed a visual, it's like one of my favorite movies that Brad Pitt was in, like Zombie or whatever. Okay, I forgot what the movie's called, but it's this right here. Like, literally, this right here is when you start to see call sweeps come in, and all the traders around the world are like, wait a minute, hold up, don't forget about me. Let me start buying calls. And they all just start flooding in, and what happens? The stock starts to take off and recover, right? Tons of momentum, tons of momentum. And the one thing you need to understand, if you are an investor in Tesla, and you're just an investor, you don't trade it or anything, is to understand that Tesla is like, it's like no other stock I've ever seen. And it acts like no other stock I've ever seen. And you understand the market makers and the option makers and the traders around the world, they own the stock. They run it, right? And what do I mean by that? And it's simple. Look at the chart. We're going to compare Tesla's chart to all the other mega caps and see if you see something here. I told you before, and I'll say it a million times, it moves like no other stock out there, okay? And you got to understand why, what I mean by this. Look at this stock chart. Just look at this stock chart right here. Look at the way it moves. This is a weekly stock chart. We're talking about moves that go from 100 to 300, 200 down to 100. I mean, huge moves. No real like constructive uptrends, downtrends. It's just like gamma squeeze up, gamma squeeze down, all that fun stuff. But then you go into like Google, uptrend up, sideways, downtrend, clear uptrend, right? You go into Microsoft, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend. Okay, you go over here to Apple, uptrend, kind of an uptrend right there, downtrend, and then we end up trade sideways, downtrend, now in an uptrend. Okay, and those moves are like 100 to 130 bucks. I mean, there's not big percentage moves like you see in Tesla. Then you got Meta, which you would think would kind of move like it, right? Trades up, trades sideways, up channel, down channel, gets crushed on earnings, down channel, and then in this amazingly up channel, which is amazing to see that thing, by the way, still. And then AMD, which may look the closest to it, but you can still make out there's basically an uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, huge downtrend when this thing crashed and burned, and a beautiful uptrend right here, which you could trade literally just on the MACD crosses and everything, as one of our members pointed out. Then you go back to Tesla. Huge gamma squeeze up, gamma squeeze down, gamma squeeze up. We're talking about 100 to 200% moves here repeatedly, right? And then, of course, we go from 100 all the way to, what was it? I think we made it to 300, right? In less than like 7 months. And so, you know, you got to just keep this in mind how it moves and understand that the market will hold on to this kind of movement as long as it can, because the premiums are unbelievable. I told you, I used to know people who bought in Tesla early. They would pay their mortgage every month just by selling Tesla covered calls and stuff on their stock, right? That's what they would do. And if they wanted more stock, they sell the cash secured puts. They didn't care whether you even got it or not. If they're expecting a big run up, they just keep the cash and sell out. But I mean, so many ways to do it. But I mean, it's just the premiums are just unbelievable. So they will keep this going as long as they can, which is fine with me, by the way. You know, but so understand, if you are a long-term investor trying to DCA into this one, like you do any other stock, it's different. I mean, it's different, right? Because a lot of people bought in at 300, boom, now we're down to 245. It's 245 the pot. We're going to go back up to 260, which, you know, don't be surprised. That happens, by the way, if we all of a sudden take this quick move up to 260 and then sell back all. So we just got to see. But again, that's what you're waiting on to see. Like, oh, where's the call sweeps? And you start seeing a million of them, or you start seeing millions of put sweeps come in. That's what's going to drive the stock. That and just news, of course. Elon tweets something or whatever. You know, so just keep that in mind. And, you know, looking at this chart again on Tesla, you know, do we have these gaps below? Absolutely. It would be perfect to come down and fill them, bounce back up. Yes, but that's not the way Tesla moves, right? And so it's going to be an up-down battle. Is it going to get here? Who knows? Usually when you think something's going to happen, it doesn't happen. And that's another big drop. I mean, that's an extra 17% from where it's at right now. Will that happen? We'll have to see. Seasonality is in that favor, but I don't put anything past the market when it comes to Tesla. Okay, and so I know a lot of people right now, they're calling for this move up from today to go to at least to 260, which for Tesla to go 260, that's nothing, right? That's quick. You know, where it goes from that, we'll have to see. But again, just keep that in mind. So if this is one of those stocks you want to get in, DCA in, however you want to do it, you know, or just blow all your load in one, you know, level if you want to. But, should we come back down and hit that trend line? Yeah, it would be perfect. Is it going to happen? That's something. Tesla, I told you, Tesla to me is one of the hardest, stocks to chart. Some people say they know how to chart it. I don't know. I've looked at it a million ways from Sunday. I try to follow the trend lines. And so I just want you to at least, understand. I do get questions about that. I do get questions about Tesla, a lot, because it's the most popular, it's the most highly traded stock in the world, I believe. And so, that's why when you're going, should I get in now? Should I do this? It's like, your guess is as good as anybody. A lot of people try to chart and say, no, we know when the gamma squeezes are coming. Like, sure you do. And they'll claim when they're right one time and they're wrong 3 other times. So, just keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to earnings, we don't have to worry about any economic news tomorrow as far as I'm concerned. And then when it comes to earnings, you're going to have UPS, Lilly, Datadog, Li Auto, and afterwards, high beta stuff. Rivian, AMC, Upstart, Twilio or Twilio, however you say it, and then Celsius. And so there'll probably be some big double-digit moves out of some of these stocks. And you notice some of them are selling off before they report earnings, right? And so we'll have to see how that plays off. I saw one, maybe it was Lucid or something, like it literally had a double miss as soon as I started to record this, and stock was up like 5% on a double miss. I mean, it's amazing to see, what's happening right now. But again, you still got short squeezes going on, all kinds of crazy mess happening with these kind of stocks and everything. But a lot of them have ran up a lot. And so it's, man, I mean, if they keep running after earnings, that's going to be a sight to see. Let's just say that. But, I always say this, any weakness, if you believe we're in a new bull market, or we're going to, whatever you want to call it, if you believe we're going to continue rallying into year end, it's a buying opportunity. If you don't, then you just stay in your cash, right? So that's another way to look at it, and we'll see where it goes. But, let me know what you think about earnings today from Palantir. Was another one. What are your predictions tomorrow for especially, stocks like Rivian, who ran up huge, Twilio, what else? We got Upstart's just been massive for the year. So let me know what you think about that, guys. Appreciate all you guys who've been watching the videos and sharing them and stuff. Greatly appreciate that. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget that. And I'll see you tomorrow.